ahead and jump into our second match, first game between Gentleman Gaming and the Landing Zone players. And here we go. 250-100s moving up to that A4, A5 hill. Actually, just A4. Just kidding, guys.
Oh, and we might have actually a small fight as, ooh, nice hit onto 23741 as he does go up to the hill. Gentleman Gaming losing a little bit of their lead, although they do have a nice position over the Landing Zone Slayers. They have that hill advantage, whereas we can see Landing Zone Slayers are still all the way back in their base. So conservative.
Yeah, you know, this is very actually standard to see one of the teams charging the hill and taking a little bit of damage. Was that too much damage, do you think, to be taking in the beginning stages?
I think it's worth it. That's about the cost you can pay, the toll to go up into the mine. And he actually didn't go through the toll gate. He went through the fence. He's going to have to pay for that.
Shadow Ghost is spotted out here in his T-32. Going to be very difficult to land any shots. 5100 is going to go ahead and shoot out, but no further shots are going to go off after that. Kind of interesting setup. Also, it's important to note with the 1500s, with the IS-3s, you don't really have a lot of view range with a lot of these tanks, so the T-69s can definitely do a lot of spotting and be able to outrange many of these tanks.
Yeah, that spotting range is actually could be huge if Taitu and Karkaju are put in positions where their view range is important. They're underneath the hill, so it's going to be proxy spotting. And so their view range or lack thereof won't be a huge detriment to them, I think. So I think that's appropriate position for the IS-3s, and they're doing something appropriate with them, which is not trying to rely on their view range or let their view range become the weakness to which allows their opponent to flank them or something.
Sure. Well, look at this movement coming out of the Landing Zone Slayers. They're actually moving over to the east side. I've been a huge proponent of never really doing this unless it's much, much further on in the game. I feel like using any east side pushes, especially when one of the teams have hill control, is probably not a good idea, but the 5100s are going to go over to the side here. Joel and Brutes. There is a proxy spot. 23741 is going to be proxy spotted by, I believe, Aegis.
Yep, that is right. They've proxy spotted each other, I do believe, at least, unless that is the very top of Aeglis's turret being able to catch on 2, and then 2's Commander Hatch being able to spot him. But I guess that is 50 meters. It's a little bit far. I don't know. But they are spotting each other nonetheless, and it does look like we see Landing Zone Slayers trying to take advantage or being prepared for 3741 to try and do that one more time, maybe punish him and finish him off. He has taken a pretty decent hit. A few nice, well-placed shots by some 5100s could take him out.
Still have to be careful. And look at that, the 1390 position all the way over in that A4 zone. I'm not a big fan of the 1390 poking out on top there. Normally you want to get that 1390 in a much better position. The accuracy isn't all that flawless. And
it's not a sniping tank.
Yeah, it just doesn't make too much sense. Now a T-69 up there makes a little bit more sense. Even a 5100 a little bit better. But that 1390, I feel like you're not using the real strengths, and it looks like Samiso is gonna drop down and join up with everybody. Mr. Zero is gonna spot out these IS-3s. He will not take a shot. Mr. Zero does have good gun depression in that T-69.
Yep, he can definitely use that. It's 5100 and an IS-3 getting spotted. No one else. Was there someone else who came along with him? There was an IS-3, I believe, that snuck all the way in. He has not been spotted. And this is a pincer maneuver on the west side. However, hill control is in the favor of Gentleman Gaming. I don't know if this push is going to go well for the Landing Zone Slayers.
Well, 23741 took a lot of damage. He is down to 401 hit points. Now Samisa, 643
Look
health.
at these bounces
oh
on
my
1390.
Goodness. Yeah, how the heck is that happening? Especially with all of those tanks that have good penetration.
Those tracks will absorb shots. 250 pen is
will.
severely reduced when it goes through tracks. And T-69's just, you got to aim for that front armor. You'll pen it every time. But
Lost
there it
Dead
goes.
Man is going to go down. Brutes is going to be pincered over here by the two T-69s, Death Reaper and Mr. Zero. And remember, these T-69s will probably have to reload pretty soon here. 2, 3, 7, 4, 1 down to 18 hit points, but he's still staying alive, which is very important. A T-32 all the way over here. Shadow Ghost is going to line up shots on this IS-3, but it looks like he's not going to connect anything. These T-69s, what's good about them is they can go ahead and retreat. The IS-3s cannot follow them nearly as well. The 5100, it looks like he is just about to clip here. T-69 is going to go down. Yes, sir. Tai 2 is the next one up here. He's being prioritized, but bouncing a lot of shots. Shadow Ghost over here going around the side. Now he's going to take a big hit. Death Reaper down to 788 health. And things are looking a little bit dicey. When is that AMX 1390? When is 23741 going to come back in? It's so difficult to actually justify that. And there he is, right behind, doing damage against that 5100. Joel down to 454 health. Now Tai 2 is pulling up a shot. Can he actually get it? No, he doesn't. He actually hits the ground. Remember, IS-3s do not have great gun depression. Some nice corner games, but when you're playing corner games against an IS-3, it gets a little bit difficult, especially 2 IS-3s. Red base is now under attack while all this is happening. The T1s are going to
and
cap.
2 is going to come in, but I guess Johel might be reloaded right now. Could he finish him?
Yes, he does, and Shadow Ghost is the only person left as Death Reaper was destroyed by the IS-3. The second IS-3 is going to take him out. 33 seconds left, though. Can these IS-3s get back in time and stop this cap? I think they might be able to, but it's going to be tough. The 5100, it looks like it's going up
Manify is in the open right now. He has no camo that I can see even painted on his tank. So he is going to get spotted very easily. He's going to go down here in a sec.
Shot's gone off. One already misses here, but looks like he will go down. And Pep is the only one left, of course, in that bush, probably over there. Yeah, he is. And down he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, the landing zone slayers. Really cool things with the IS-3, and we saw the landing zone slayers utilize a lot of that IS-3. Of course, as we move on into the series, we'll be seeing them a lot more. Of course, next map is going to be Himmelsdorf. That's where IS-3s are awesome, and
they really
boy,
shine.
Oh boy,
yeah.
When we see the lineup of this team, it's going to make me smile so much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our next battle of this series. Right now, Landing Zone Slayers are up 1-0 over their opponents, Gentleman Gaming. Let's check it out on Himmelsdorf. What is a lineup?
Oh gosh, 5
IS-3s.
IS-3s from the landing. Is that the landing zone slayers? Yes.
Yes, sir.
That is the landing zone slayers going just an awesome lineup. This is just a fun lineup to see. It's so uncommon.
Could you imagine like going toe to toe with their just picking tanks? They're like, oh yeah, we'll take 2 T1s. Okay, you choose T1s. We'll take 2 IS-3s. We'll take 2 IS-3s. We'll take an IS-3. It's like, yes, you know what you're doing. Yeah. I would love this IS-3
What tank
lineup
would you like to pick, the landing zone slayers?
IS-3.
What would your next pick like to be?
IS-3.
And your next?
IS-3.
And your next?
That's it.
No. Oh, I lost count. You said a lot of IS-3s.
IS-3s. Okay. IS-3s.
IS-3.
All right, well, they are going all the way over to the west side. 23741 is spotted out in his own IS-3. You know, this is a little bit interesting. I feel like the 25100s actually have a lot more utility. I feel like they're the much better lineup, but we'll definitely take a look and see how they perform.
I definitely prefer to use those
the
5100s and mixed with the IS-3s. I mean, the burst out of them can sway the fight so early, but if you can get a nice few alpha strikes out with those IS-3s.
That's right. I mean, that's all that really matters.
Aegis goes down in the T1 on the west side to Manify. That is actually really big. Oh, and looks like Lord Ricky is actually going to get spotted by Manify. This T1 is doing so much for his team right now. I want to see how Gentleman Gaming reacts, because it is all on them to counter the current positioning out of the Landing Zone Slayers. They have all of the information that Landing Zone Slayers has very little of, actually.
Yeah. Kind of dicey. When it comes down to, I mean, they can't brawl right away, can they? I mean,
It.
they have to target down the 5100.
Yeah.
With correct IS-3 positioning, you should be able to zone a lot of that fire and force them to have a bad engagement.
Oh,
2-7-3-7-4-1. Oh my
Oh.
God! 4-shot down. That's the power of 4 or 5 IS-3s.
There was those 4
you
IS-3s.
Four-shot anything in 2-3-7-4-1. He was reverse angling, but reverse angling the wrong way.
He didn't actually on that corner.
Well,
He switched his
he
angle
was-
up to front. He just normal front angling. That's it.
He was reverse angling against the 3 line, but not
Oh, yeah.
against the 2 line.
He take a look at my screen over here,
Sure.
and he actually turned himself around, so he was just effectively front.
Oh,
That's not going to work.
okay,
Like
well.
at this level, you're just going to pen the score bounce.
Mistake.
Yeah, that was just. I don't think he was expecting that. Well, you can tell by the fact that he got cut out, but he just was caught so off guard, and all those shots penned. That was beautiful. You've talked about this before in during the last season.
Yeah.
You wanted to see this happen with IS-3s, and I was like, no, Andre, that's not going to happen. You're not going to see 4 IS-3s come around a corner and nuke some guy. Well, we just did, Andre.
That's alpha, ladies and gentlemen. That's alpha. And IS-3s are my favorite tank, but I understand at the same time that realistically should not happen. I mean, 2-3-7-4-1 was not in the right position. He got punished really hard. Now another tier 1 is going to go down here.
That's all the T1s on the map gone right
yeah.
now.
So when it comes down to it, I feel like these 4 or 5 IS-3s can just initiate an attack, knowing that there's only 1 IS-3 to block shots. You just target down the 5100s immediately. 5100s need about, I would say, 15 seconds to unload their entire drum. Maybe a little, no, 15 seconds. And by that time, you should be able to kill 2 tanks, or 2 5100s, giving you the ability.
I think you could reload it all. I think is a little less than 15. You could actually get them all out.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, just a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
Or a little bit less.
And for IS-3s, you can get 2 shots out with all 5 of your tanks before 2 tanks shoot out every single round. So killing the 5100s, just derping in right now is the correct move, just because they're always going to get the advantage as long as it's a perfect wall.
Well, they shouldn't push in with the lowest IS-3. You see the most damaged IS-3 on their team actually leading the charge. But there we go. He switches now. He's second in line. That's a good spot to be. As we will see this push coming down the line right now. They're stopping.
Just go.
No, just go. Just go. You've got it.
They've got it. The 5100, they know exactly where it is. They're just going to round the corner. When Shadow goes, you are going to be prioritized.
Oh, look at those unfortunate track shots on Shadow Ghost. He's only going to go down to 635, and it looks like 2 members of the landing zone slayers are getting very low, and they will both go down. Good focus fire right there by Gentleman Gaming. Right, just fantastic. It looks like they're still in this fight.
Lost Deadman knows how to play it out. I mean, he's covering his friend in the 5100 really well, but now finally the 5100 being played by Shadow Ghost is going to go down. Lost Deadman going to be cornered here. 2 IS-3s just 2 shots away from dying, and boom, down he goes. That is a total of 3 T8 tanks that are dead.
Oh, and Death Reaper is turned around, not even facing his opponent. He's just
clipping.
take free shots. Yeah, but you still got your turret turned the wrong way, buddy.
Yeah.
Turn it the other way. You got an ammo rack in the back right there, just open to free shots. He's fancy driving. Death Reaper is going to avoid a big hit by Lord Ricky, but their Mr. Zero in the 5100 is completely caught out, not able to escape like Death Reaper was. Just smart driving by Death Reaper. He has a little bit of a chance, I'd say, to bring this back. He's a 5100 after all. If he can play this smart enough, he could at least, at the very least, he could make it so he could play for a draw, I think.
I don't know. I mean, he needs a lot of time. He dies in 2 shots to any of these IS-3s. There are 3 IS-3s, and even if all of these red players go AFK for the first, average 1,800 damage that this 5,100 deals, there's still an extra IS-3 to take advantage of that 40-second cooldown.
Yeah.
So I really feel like there's absolutely no chance.
And I feel like he's going to do something predictable here. I think the enemy are all going to be predicting, and they saw that one come in.
1 shot, and the second shot brings him down. 5 IS-3s, ladies and gentlemen. God, if Clutch is happy with the T-32s, I'm happy with this battle.
And Soviet is probably happy right now. You're just probably watching right now going, yes, wonderful.
Things are looking good. John, what are your thoughts? A little bit crazy, but let's be honest. It came down to the first IS-3 dying, and then from there, what can you really do if you're Gentleman Gaming?
Definitely. I think if they hadn't lost that first IS-3 like that, I don't think, I think it could have been close. I mean, I think with what they were presented with, they did the best they could. I think Gentleman Gaming focused, fired well for a 4v5 situation. I think you mentioned it, Lost Dead Man played his IS-3 the way he's supposed to be playing, shielding his 5100 while he still had, I think, 3 shells left to put out. And I think given what they had, they got rid of 2 IS-3s immediately. They melted 2 IS-3s immediately. So you can only imagine if they hadn't just lost one IS-3 like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of the point of a 5 IS-3 lineup, is to do that, except ideally 5 times, you know. So, I mean, you mentioned it last season about IS-3s. If they focus fired 1 tank, it should be dead. Should be. Which makes it even more critical that this team, the Landing Zone Slayers, focus fire and hit their shots and pen, and they did it.
Yeah.
For the most part, we did see actually a 5100 to take 2 hits and not get finished off by the rest of the IS-3s. They just kind of stopped and got hung up on each other. So that was we had that first IS-3 alpha, complete perfect Nuka guy. But then we saw the second time they tried to alpha someone down actually fall a little bit flat, and they only did about half that tank's damage.
And you know what? That's the big problem with the IS-3s is hesitation actually ruins them, right?
Yeah.
If they're not able to put out that consistent fire, and they're spreading out the damage, all of a sudden you've reduced your DPM drastically, and you're just letting the 5100s get to that point where they can reload and go in for a second time. Remember, 5100s, they can kill a tank. Any tank, it doesn't matter. KV-5, there's actually a 50-50 shot of that, but still, any tank other than a KV-5, 100% of the time, if they land all their shells. So if you give a 5100 all that time, you're looking at just 5100 against IS-3 if they're able to just go toe-to-toe. 5100 will win 100% of the time if they're able to get the shots on. If you have you know, the 15 seconds where it's just all-out attack, and the IS-3 only gets 2 shots. And now, if you hesitate with that IS-3, that's the bigger problem, because now you're only getting 1 shot. You know, you don't have that time. Even if it's 5 seconds, well, that's 5 seconds that you could have used, but you're dead.
And don't forget about actually an ammo rack of the IS-3 being
That's
so
true
weak.
too.
If you're a very skilled 5100 player, you shoot the IS-3's ammo rack every time, which is massive. And actually, if you go and read about the IS-3, you can learn about the locations of its ammo rack, and just go look for videos. That's one way that a lot of tankers will learn about the location of modules and crew members inside of the tanks. If you shoot that IS-3 ammo rack a few times, just twice, you're pretty much going to damage it. I mean, once, if he has a wet ammo rack, hit the first hit, you might not ammo rack him. Second hit, you're pretty much going to ammo rack him. If he doesn't burn his kit to repair his ammo rack, he's going to have a slow reload. He's not even going to get that second shot off that you were talking about.
That's
That is important to actually kind of even out, or at least try and, you know, salvage the poor situation you're in if you're 1v1ing a 5100 in an IS-3.
Some gigantic disadvantages of those IS-3. You can't count on them 100% of the time. I felt like it was risky by the Landing Zone Slayers, but at the same time, they were able to execute the first tank right, and from there, it was all formality. They were able to just derp in, attack, and take the win. They were able to do that with 3 tier 8s to 0. We're going to go into our third match, ladies and gentlemen. Landing Zone Slayers, where we're now 2-0 up. We've had some quick matches today. Of course, only 2 matches so far, but still very, very quick. We're going to see how these how these teams actually face off. Can Landing Zone Slayers clean it up 3-0, or will Gentleman Gaming be able to come back with a 3-0 sweep directly after this? Time will tell. We're going to cut to a short commercial break. When we come back, more qualifier action after this. Qualifiers number 2 for season 2. Come back, Andre. There we go. My name is Andre Greater Pengshua, and we're going to be moving over to the third battle of match number 2. It's going to be on Runeberg. I'm really excited, Rukil.
I'm excited because I want to see more IS-3s. I want to see 5 IS-3s again. That's just fun to watch.
That would be fun, but I'm in the tank selection screen right now. I do not see 5 IS-3s. Gentleman Gaming, though, probably are on a little bit of tilt after losing to 5 IS-3s. I mean, I talk about it. It's a little bit trolly, seemingly as clutches with the T-32s. Great tank, but, you know, it has its role.
It has no cons.
It has its role.
It does have a great role, as it does roll on some fantastic treads, which are all American made, by the way.
Yes, they are all American made.
Mhm.
The best.
Only the best.
Around.
Nothing's
Anyway,
nothing's gonna keep
third
that
battle is already loaded in. Let's go ahead, get into Runeberg. Gentlemen Gaming, can they do it, or will the Landing Zone Slayers take it 3-0? We're going to find out. Red team's spawning in the southern position. The Landing Zone Slayers, they are sporting two 5100s, two IS-3s, and T-69. Very, very conventional. On the other side, we have one 5100, one IS-3, two T-69s, and a 1390. Also very conventional for the north side.
I like that. I like that one better. I like the layout from Gentleman Gaming. What do you think? What's your favorite?
I think it actually just makes sense for the south and the north side, respectively.
Okay.
The reason why, you're mostly going to use that Delta Village if you're spawning in the north side. So the 1390 makes tons and tons of sense. From the south side, you're most likely going to go into the western side. So getting that extra IS-3 instead of the 1390 makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, and we actually see 23741 doing some very interesting scouting. Nice downhill scout. Making sure to move downhill as he is scouting the enemy, not going to lose any momentum. In fact, going to gain momentum on the way down that hill, going a little bit faster, and very safe way to try and scout the enemy. He's going to be using that 1390 to try and clear this whole eastern side of the map. Yeah.
What if I was going to say, like, it's actually worse because you're going uphill?
He's going downhill.
No, you're going uphill when you go to poke out, so it actually makes you a slow target. What would you just say to someone like that? That would make that argument.
What?
So, like, to scout out, you still need to see everybody. You're going uphill and then retreating downhill.
Oh,
right?
no, that's just peeking and surfing. Now, you want to make it so that if you do that, if you peek and surf, that you start by going downhill, or that you're not going uphill for a long period of time. You want to keep your momentum as high as you can, and peeking is just fine. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're as fast as you can be, and also that you're as exposed for as little time as possible. If you go into an uphill run, and what I mean by that is if you start in a low ground, and then you go uphill, crest going uphill, and then have to pull back, still going uphill, then what happens is you lose so much momentum, you're exposed for fractions of a second longer, and it's just, I feel like it's intuitive that people should understand that you shouldn't go uphill as opposed to downhill. You're going to go faster downhill.
No, I'm not saying like you retreat downhill. I'm just saying the uphill climb.
Oh, making an uphill climb?
Yeah.
There's peaking by going uphill, but if you're going to try and stay active, and especially in the middle of Ruinberg where we're trying to do the cresting on the middle hill won't get you quite the vision that going full on out onto the road will. I mean, with the distances out of like the 1390s view range with about 400 meters that you need to see. Actually, you need to actually get a little bit closer than 400 meters because of most of these tanks' camos values and such. It's just better to go. You need to go all the way into the road most of the time, especially if you want to see all the way down to the K line.
Well, how it stands right now is the Landing Zone Slayers are just playing very, very defensive. And they're just taking the western region, not really doing too much. I mean, they haven't really moved their positions whatsoever. On the other side, though, I mean, we just have east control. The Delta Village has been taken. No real efforts to go all the way down to the southern side. I know Nagatron was saying it's always good when you take the Delta Village to really start using that advantage, using that spatial advantage to the point where you always have this feeling like you're about to cap, or you have the potential of capping, and it forces any eastern side forces to actually withdraw a little bit and go into that southwestern area.
They definitely have to account for any kind of cap pressure at any time, and we actually see on the north side the account for cap pressure would be an IS-3. On the south, they're just easily within position to respond to any kind of cap pressure. We actually are seeing a little bit of motion, I believe, out of some T1s. Pep is moving up, and so has Manaphy in the T1. They're moving up, getting some nice spotting coverage. I feel like Gentleman Gaming is trying to see what they can do in this match. However, I feel like is Landing Zone Slayers realizing their lead and that they can now just camp, especially on a map like Ruinberg.
Maybe so. Keep in mind, guys, we go to 5 battles no matter, well, not no matter what, but 5 battles. At the end of that, whoever has the advantage in terms of wins over losses will take the series overall. So if there's 2 draws directly after us, then Landing Zone Slayers will win the overall series.
And they will advance. Good for them. However, if it did go to a draw, we will go to a shootout. In which case, both teams will be lined up on Malinovka, and they will. It's an interesting process. If we ever get to it tonight, or at all in this qualifier, we'll be sure to explain it. It can be quite a bit of fun.
It can. It can be very derpy too.
Yeah.
And also end with. Oh my God.
Oh, you got
something.
What did you notice?
Go to my screen real quick.
Oh my God.
What is this?
It's on fire.
How come that's like burning forever? The whole city is in.
Maybe it's
flames.
actually someone's fireplace, and
All
they
right,
just
well.
have it. But there's a fight starting.
That's right, and Lost Dead Man might be dead pretty soon here, but he's actually retracting back behind all the buildings, doing a very nice job. Shadow Ghost over there in his 5100, being able to do crossfire. Karkajau is actually down to 47 hit points, and down he goes. Nice shot coming out from him, and all of a sudden a 1390, 23741 is going to pop out here and add that additional crossfire. Looking really good, actually going all the way around. I love this, adding an additional vector to make sure that he's landing those important shots. Of course, 1390 is not the best in terms of accuracy, but they are definitely
Taitu is going to move in on Lost Dead Man, and Brutis is also going to do so. Johel, such a low roll, almost could have killed that AMX 5100, but 2 is going to come in to finish him off.
Yep, and down 2 tier 8 tanks go. Lost Dead Man is going to be taken out as well. Joel was taken out by that 1392, 3741, and now it's not looking so good for the Landing Zone Slayers. Let's just take a look really quick. Nice 3 a T69 only, whereas the other team has 2 T69s, a 5100 and 1390. Gentleman Gaming looking good and looking to pick up their first win in this series.
This could be a comeback for them. I do like this movement, but at the same time, should the Landing Zone Slayers have been in the position they were, they pushed out, they put themselves in the open, and they've been punished so much for it right now. I feel like Gentleman Gaming just made a push at the right time, and that the Landing Zone Slayers kind of pushed out at a very inopportune time, but it looks like a T1 fight is happening as Happy Killmore is probably not going to kill anyone more. Oh, wow. He is not using the... I like these gun choices. Happy Killmore is using a different... a gun that I would not say is the right choice for a T1 fight. Almost killing Pep, but just not quite.
And Taitu and Samisa are the only ones left alive. 1 minute and 50 seconds for Gentleman Gaming to take out the remaining tier 8 tanks. Can they do it? Cap pressure has been initiated. Mr. Zero and Death Reaper are going at it. Pep was taken out. That T1 that was initiating that cap. 1390, 23741 is all the way out. Trying to flank Taitu. Needs to be careful though, because there is that T69 right around the corner.
Yep,
that
but
can get a high
the rest
roll.
of the members of Gentleman Gaming do come around the corner on Taitu, who is distracted. Taitu does move in, but it looks like Samisa at 92 hit points does take down that 1390, 23741. It's now 1v3.
1v3?
Yeah,
sir.
4. Well, if you count the T1, 4v. Yeah.
This looks all but over for Samisa. He's going to line up one last shot, it looks like. But there's just way too many hit points for the opposing team. Maybe he can get 3 really lucky rolls of just ammo rack, ammo rack, ammo rack. I mean, there are 2 T69s there. So it can happen.
Anything can happen. There's always a chance.
Anything can happen. No? Nobody's
No,
going to go
I'm
off
sorry.
that song?
I just
9 seconds left. 3 tanks on cap. Samisa going to look for a reset.
do it, Samisa. Hero mode.
But he's getting tracked, and he's dead. Ladies and gentlemen, Gentleman Gaming taking their first win, putting the score at 2-1. Gentlemen Gaming still needs a lot of work to do if they want to. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The 3 IS-3s coming out of the landing zone slayers because they love them IS-3s. I like 3 IS-3s a lot better than 4, honestly.
Yeah, 3 is just a solid number to bring. I mean, the amount of damage you dish out is sufficient that you just follow that up with a 5100, right?
Exactly.
One hit, you finish almost everything.
Exactly. Averaging just below 1200 damage, 1170. And of course, that extra AMX 5100 shot does around 300 damage. So you're looking at average almost 1500 damage every single time. You can clear up, sometimes if you high roll, you can clear up IS-3s, you can clear up 5100s. Everything is just nice. Of course, you can clear up T-69s.
Tai 2 is going to get spotted. Oh, so is Joe Hell. And there goes Pep down the T1 on the 5 line. He was spotting the middle, but not expecting IS-3s to pop up from his west. They get all the way up, control the E line, and we have such a conservative position out of Gentleman Gaming, taking up a few positions in the, the D4 courtyard, and also farther back in some really far back positions.
Ooh.
Actually, 2 getting a nice hit on Joe Hell.
23741 needs to be careful because they already know where one of the IS-3s are. Denman was spotted out. So this is going to look pretty tough for 2 as the 5100 and the IS-3 coming in around. And Joel is just covering the escape route. One big shot, 400 damage being done to that 5100 being played by Brutest. But you can see the IS-3 trying to retreat now, but retreating into enemy fire. 2 IS-3s ready. Oh, wow, big shot. Joel's going to go down to some
and
great
2 is going to get away. He's
Look
just
at
going,
this.
getting out of here.
Shadow Ghost and Mr. Zero coming in from behind. Great crossfires. Death Reaper coming up from the side as well. Karkaju not looking too good at 5100, shelling out a lot of damage on the side and the back of this IS-3, and down he goes. Wow, this was amazing play. As soon as they saw 2 was out of position, they immediately said, we need to back you up. Let's go ahead and get great crossfires. The landing zone slayers just pushed out a little bit too far. I felt like they had good thoughts of just isolating that single IS-3, but they went in straight into the shot of several IS-3s and a 5100.
But look at this T-69 fight is just going
He's not gonna be able to
1v1 with
kill
a
him.
T1 to help. Who's going to win this fight?
Mr. Zero, I think.
We'll find out. On the other side, we have an IS-3 and a 5100 battling it out with Tai 2. 5100 was able to get some great shots from behind and now going to recede back because he is reloading right now. Deadman takes a big shot. Tai 2, oh wow, misses. Or excuse me,
That is
Lost
Lost
Deadman misses on Tai 2. And that helps out a little bit since Lost Deadman is only 1 shot away and he knows that 5100.
Mr. Zero's reloaded and he's going to shoot into the side of Tai 2.
And he bounces the IS-3
Yeah.
shell.
Oh,
he
he
does.
does hit that one though, and down he goes, 126 hit points, and he's going to be taken out by Lost Deadman, I believe. No,
Yeah.
Tai,
And it looks like Eglis in the T1 actually got to put a few free shots into Mr. Zero's back. Just a few engine compartment shots. I saw like hits for like about 30 going out there, and I was like, what is... Oh, there's a T1 shooting him in the back. And that's actually where T1s could have been so effective and helpful in this match. Unfortunately,
right.
It looks like Gentleman Gaming is getting some momentum here.
Yes, they are. This is 2-0 that they're going in the last 2 battles. Happy Killmore, the only person left. There's still 6 minutes left before it can draw out. I don't think Happy Killmore will be able to get the job done and maintain this game as a draw. So how it looks, we're going to go into battle number 5, ladies and gentlemen. And that's where things can get a little dicey for any of these teams. You could see a draw coming out, or you could see just a straight-up win. Maybe we'll even see, of course, a Malnovka pick as battle number 6. Death Reaper going to come in for the killing blow. Just
Yeah.
rams the T1. And ladies and gentlemen, a tied-up series. Gentlemen Gaming. Brewkill, you're so silly. 1390s, T69s. Why not just IS-3s? You're so silly, Rookil.
Oh, how could I be so wrong?
God, you call yourself a pro scouter. Well, guess
Uh-huh.
what? If you want to play in my tank company, you need an IS-3.
Oh man, IS-3's on cliff with 5100s. But it looks like Samisa is going to be in at 1390, so
Yeah.
at least we have one team taking the scouting approach to this map.
Hey, it's important to note that the IS-3s aren't being chosen by the landing zone slayers. It's actually chosen by Gentleman Game. Well, the 4 IS-3s are being chosen by Gentleman Gaming. Already a lot of crossfire out and about. 23741 down to 980 hit points. Death Reaper taking a big shot from that 5100, or one of the 1390s.
Yeah, 1390 got free hits by going to E4. He's able to get there so quickly. And if you actually, can you jump on that, Andre? I believe he's still over there at 1390.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that real quick. There it is. Oh. I'll get there.
Yeah.
There we
he is.
go.
He just jumped into that middle position, used his higher mobility and superior camo values, everything about a light tank.
Whoa.
Just take advantage. Oh, that poor T1.
No, Manaphy. Samisa already missed a shot.
Yep.
So Manaphy, boom, plus 225 health right there. That's what he just got. Big
And-
buff.
Big buff, effectively, because of his magical juke powers.
Yes.
He has
Good
more
job.
health.
Good job, Manaphy.
Good job. And he
And-
was being supported. Good job, though, by, you got to say, Samisa, for not overcommitting and possibly wasting himself when there are IS-3s just pretty much dialed in on that position. They weren't quite. They were
Good job
expecting a
at
different
not
approach.
killing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
These two IS-3s over here are going to turn around, actually.
There.
You know, I'm having trouble
Mhm.
seeing where IS-3s fit on this map because I almost feel like there is no good way to push on your opponents with IS-3s. I mean, I brought my IS-3 to this map. It's not a fun time for me. I
You
just
just-
sit in the town
You just got to push.
and just wait for fools to line it up. And then I just click the button every like 10 seconds
yeah.
and I win.
Yeah, that's how it can go in
Yeah,
pubs.
it's not like arty bad. But
But like, what if either of these teams had an arty right here, and just
delicious.
yeah, there are so many great
delicious.
shots and so many great angles on this map. I mean, look at the mini map right here, guys. If you had an arty in J1 right now, the shots that you would have on those IS-3s up on the north side of the lighthouse would just be amazing. They were just delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Just eat them up all day.
And I almost feel like both teams had the choice of going arty pieces. I mean, it's very, very easy to once they see so
It's
many
just so
IS-3s.
unfortunate with the
Pep?
cost, you know, because if you bring an RD piece that's too big, your enemy will say, "We can just push into you." Oh wow, T1 leading the way. Pep, get him, Pep.
Happy Gilmore! Oh, down to 13 hit points. Pep was able to do that with it. Oh, 2-3-7-4-1 poking out a little bit. The IS-3 was able to take out the last T1. Hey, guess what? That
Baited.
T1 had an extra 400 health. Effectively, guys.
You and your math, Andre.
Not really, because that
But here
IS-3 is
looks
gonna be
like it is the
loaded up.
response out of the landing zone slayers. They will waste a shell to kill a T1 Cunningham.
It's alright, it's Carcajou in that IS-3. Without that 5100, but Joel in this 5100 needs to be careful. You can't waste shots like that. IS-3 Death Reaper is going to keep the backing on up.
Yep. And it
And-
looks like IS-3s are not firing.
Oh!
You got exposed enemies. Don't waste your shot. Death Reaper puts it into the dirt, and it looks
Oh,
like he's going to go
no.
down to 255.
One shot from anybody, and down he goes. He's destroyed by Death Reaper. No.
By Carcajou.
Carcajou.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I was like, that didn't sound right. 2-3-7-4-1 is the next priority. He's down to 577 health.
Yeah.
Only 2 more shots, and he will go down from any of these tanks. Deadman, or Lost Deadman, is right around
So many
there.
missed
We
shots.
haven't seen the other tanks, though. Where are they? Oh, my
They
goodness.
are pushing the north right now, but getting kited out by
Yeah.
Samisa.
Ring around the rosy with this mountain is not the right way to play it out. Lost Deadman now, next priority, as 2 was taken out. He's down to 56 health. 1 more shot and down he will go. And look at that, ring around the rosy with an IS-3 and a 5100.
And they're
No
just going to
bueno.
turn around
Yep.
and engage the last 2 tanks in the north, as actually it looks like Shadow Ghost and Mr. Zero will decide to not continue this fight, instead just run away. However, they are putting themselves out in the open right now, completely exposed. I'm fairly certain that the landing zone slayers will return and to get a nice free, delicious, juicy Shadow Ghost in the open.
Well, 4 minutes and 40 seconds to kill these tanks that are remaining. Of course, they could just go for cap. I feel like capping is actually a much more consistent way since how big this map is. But they're
Yeah,
gonna
but
go
I
for
feel
the
like
kill.
there's more potential for a draw to happen in favor of Gentleman Gaming, because right now it's their game to
All right.
lose.
Well, Shadow
And,
Ghost is going to poke around that one rock. Mr. Zero taking a big hit from that 1390. Samisa is doing the work. And, of course, Joel is right next to him. Mr. Zero down to 366 hit points. 5100 is taking a big shot, and Joel needs to be careful since that other 5100 was able to do a lot of damage there. But
Oh,
down
very
the
good.
IS-3 goes. Mr. Zero gets taken out by Lord Dreeky.
Actually, I think that was a shot on the move. Amazing that these guys make these shots, but unfortunate for Gentleman Gaming. So many missed shots, I felt like, is what really killed them in this game. Their enemy was pushing into them, but they just couldn't make the connections on these IS-3s. Victory going to the landing zone Slayers.
The momentum was shut down. Gentleman Gaming went 2 wins in a row. But when it comes down to it, I felt like their overall situation of committing to that fight was the worst they could have possibly taken. You do not go around that big circle, especially with the 1390. It's going to be able to scout everything out and say, oh, you're trying to flank us from the back? Keep pushing, guys. Forward is the best direction.
It is the best direction, and we saw that in favor of the landing zone Slayers, doing a very good job of recognizing their overmatch and just pushing it. And on top of that, their opponents just weren't taking the time to line up proper shots. That was just, it bothered me to watch that. You have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined enough to know that your shots are that important, especially in an IS-3. I mean, Tofu, back me up here.
It's a combination of both not hitting your shots, again, because of the reload of the IS-3. You really need to make those count. Even in a retreat situation, I mean, you just got to do, I mean, look at the damage. I mean, one IS-3 did 0. That's unacceptable, really. And, you know, you just can't have that happening. The other thing that was the problem is because they were so focused on retreating, they didn't really seem to care what the health situation was like. You basically made it so that whoever was the closest one to the enemy, it was like a conga line of focus fire and death.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't want conga lines of death, really. I mean, they had, at the end of the engagement, they had 2 IS-3s down and 1 full health IS-3. That's 1 full health IS-3 that you maybe could have delayed that a little bit by keeping another one of your buddies alive. I mean, there was a situation there where, I mean, I tried to praise Lost on his IS-3 play before. And in this one, he was kind of blocking Death Reaper from reversing. When he was full health, Death Reaper was at 200, and he just sat at his rear. You have to take that hit for your teammate, let him get away, and then you start backing up now. I mean, even if the situation isn't, you know, favorable, you got to do what you can. You can't just give up a tank like that.
What the position calls for, right? You look for the most optimal route instead of what you want, which is to live normally in games. But sometimes you just got to sack yourself and say, well, hopefully we can do it 4v5. But, you know, once they commit with the IS-3 and the 5100 to just circumvent or sidestep the main engagement and go around, I feel like that is 100% of the time going to lose you the battle. Like, you just have much better mobility on the, well, I wouldn't say much better mobility because it's only the 1390, but still.
No, it's so much better. You're completely right. It is better mobility than the 1390. Those heavies are not mobile enough to get that flank done. Not quick enough. There's too much of an overmatch. You get spotted out like that.
Exactly.
This is one reason why you need a highly mobile setup on a map like Cliffs.
If that's 2 1390s coming around the bend, then I could say it's a little bit more plausible, but even that is a big circle to make in order to catch your opponents. And can 3 IS-3s really block 5 tanks and give them enough time for those 1390s to come around?
Yes, I think so. Proper track shots. If you fire into an enemy tank, track and pen, there are angles at which you can do this, especially if the enemy is coming around that. There's a slight bit of a curve.
That's true.
So they have to go drive out a little bit or drive out and turn and then straighten up to come
that's
at you
true.
straight. So you could only do track and not pen. But with the angles that their enemies were approaching them at, you could have gotten, if you were paying enough attention, every single shot is into the front drive wheel, and it goes straight through that and then into the side armor, penetrating, doing damage and tracking. Now they either have to burn a kit to keep going forward, or they have to just sit there delayed, by the way,
And also bumping into causing a traffic jam.
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
Right? There's 5100s, there's IS-3s right behind you. That's definitely going to complicate a lot of stuff.
And it gives those IS-3s so much more time to reload because they're backing up, which is much slower and doesn't do stuff, but it doesn't mess with your reticle as much.
Yeah, but all this hypothetical talk is based on having two 1390s, and they were using IS-3.
Even so, they probably could have maybe even done it with IS-3s and 5100 coming around if they'd done it right. I'm saying every shot goes into a track pen. There's 3 IS-3s. You can track pen 3 tanks, and the thing is, they're going to have to keep coming forward, keep coming forward, keep coming forward. It's very difficult to keep coming forward like that and try and focus fire because you're effectively continuously moving forward, and your enemy's just backing up ever so slowly.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But also think it's like forward acceleration before against.
You can catch up to them, but with proper, I'm saying the tracking and penetrating to do damage, they could at least come out of that when they lost inevitably. They could come out punishing their opponent enough to the point where those IS-3 5100 coming behind could finish them off.
Well, it's not what we saw in Gentleman Gaming. We'll have to try next season, as this is the last qualifiers, qualifier number 2 for season 2 of WGLNA. Our next match of tonight, it's match number 3, will be Pub Stars versus Rockstown. Pub Stars considered the big favorite. I don't know much about Rockstown. We're going to find out a little bit more information. I'll ask the guys what they think about this upcoming team. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, continuation of the qualifiers. Don't go anywhere. We're watching WGLNA Season 2 qualifiers.